Campus had the tired buzz of a day winding down. Electric scooters clicked past the student center, music drifted from somebody's phone, and clusters of students spilled out of lectures with the relieved energy of people briefly released back into their own lives. Den cut across the library quad with his backpack hanging off one shoulder, already thinking about coffee and the statistics homework waiting in his dorm. He almost missed her. A flash of pink moved near the library steps, then stopped too suddenly. The sound that followed was small, sharper than a gasp and softer than a cry, but it made him look up at once. A girl had caught herself on the railing with one hand while her other reached uselessly for the book slipping from her arm. Her foot had turned the wrong way on the last step. When she tried to straighten, her face tightened so quickly that Den changed direction without thinking. "Hey," he said, jogging the last few feet. "Are you okay?" She blinked at him as if she hadn't expected anyone to stop. Up close, she looked younger than he first thought, her blue eyes wide with the kind of panic that comes when pain and embarrassment arrive at the same time. "I," she swallowed. "I think I just, I don't know." One of her notebooks had fallen open on the pavement. Den picked it up and set it beside her. "Don't try to move yet," he said. He kept his voice low, steady. "Did you twist your ankle?" Maybe." She let out a breath that was almost a laugh and definitely not one. "That's probably obvious." "Only a little." The joke was small, but it worked. Her mouth trembled into something that nearly counted as a smile. "Can you sit down?" he asked, nodding toward the bench beside the steps. "I'll help if you want." She hesitated, then gave a quick nod. Den offered his hand, careful not to crowd her. Her fingers were cool when they closed around his. He supported her elbow as she shifted onto the bench, and the second her injured foot brushed the ground, she sucked in a breath through her teeth. "Yeah," Den said softly. "Definitely don't walk on that." She pressed both hands over her face for a second. "This is so mortifying." "Hurting yourself in public should be illegal," he said. "It's bad enough without an audience." That got a real laugh out of her, quick and surprised. She dropped her hands and looked at him with gratitude she seemed too flustered to hide. "Thank you." "I'm Den." Sina. He repeated it once just to make sure he had it right. Something about the way her name sounded made it feel familiar. After a second, he realized why. "You're in Professor Bell's writing seminar, aren't you? Tuesday mornings." Her expression changed from pain to startled recognition. "You know that." "You sit by the window." He shrugged, suddenly aware that this might sound stranger than it had in his head. "I sit 2 rows over, blue hoodie, usually half awake." Sina looked at his sweatshirt, then back at him, and a hint of color rose in her cheeks. "Oh, right. Why, you're the one who always finishes the in-class responses first." He huffed a laugh. "So you noticed me too, good, that makes this less creepy." She laughed again, and this time the nervousness in it loosened a little. Den crouched so he was closer to eye level. "Can you move your foot at all, slowly?" Sina tried. The moment she rotated her ankle, she winced and stopped. "Bad idea." "Yeah, I think we should get you to the health center." "I can call my roommate," she said quickly, already fumbling for her phone. Then she looked at the screen and made a face. "She's in chem lab until 6:30. "Okay, then I can take you." "No, don't have to do that. I mean, you've already helped and you'll probably be busy, and I don't want to make this your problem." Den leaned back on his heels. "Sina, you're not making yourself a problem. You got hurt. That's different." She looked at him for a long second, as if weighing whether she could believe that. He pulled out his phone. "I can call the campus mobility cart, or I can help you over there if it's faster. Your choice." "You make it sound very official." "I contain multitudes," he said deadpan. To his relief, the corner of her mouth lifted again. He requested the cart through the campus app, then sat on the far end of the bench so she had room. For a moment they listened to the noise of the quad around them. Students passed by without staring for long, which Den thought was a small mercy. Sina tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and glanced at her scattered things. I really did plan to have a more dignified afternoon than this. What? No dramatic injury outside the library on your schedule. I had coffee written down. Ambitious. She shook her head, smiling now in spite of herself. The tension in her shoulders eased a fraction, and Den felt oddly relieved by it. He didn't know why it mattered so much that she stopped looking like she might cry. The mobility app updated with a delay notice, 12 minutes. Den showed her the screen. Carts backed up by the stadium. If you think you can manage a slow hop-and-limp situation, the health center's only across the quad. Sina eyed the distance, then her ankle. That sounds awful. Probably, he admitted, but I can help. No heroic independence required. She gave him that uncertain look again, the one that seemed to live halfway between shyness and apology. You keep saying things like that. Like what? Like it's okay to need help. He frowned slightly. It is okay. Something quiet passed over her face then, so quick he might have imagined it. She nodded once. Okay. He stood and offered his arm. This time she took it without arguing. When she rose, she swayed, and his free hand went instinctively to steady her at the back of her shoulder. She was light and warm and suddenly very close. For one brief second, both of them went still. Too fast? He asked. And no, I mean yes a little, but not because of you. Sina bit her lip. Sorry. You don't have to apologize every 6 seconds. Don't do it that often. He looked at her. She sighed. Okay, maybe I do. They started across the quad at a pace that barely qualified as walking. Sina leaned carefully against him, trying not to put weight on her injured foot. Den adjusted without comment, matching her rhythm. Every few steps he asked, "Still okay?" And every time she nodded, the answer sounded a little steadier. By the time they reached the health center doors, the silence between them no longer felt strained. It felt attentive. Inside, a nurse examined Sina's ankle, wrapped it, and declared it a mild sprain with strict instructions to rest, ice it, and avoid pretending she was fine. Den waited in the hallway with her backpack at his feet, scrolling mindlessly through notifications he didn't absorb. He could have left. He knew that. Instead, he stayed until the door opened, and Sina emerged with a compression bandage and a borrowed ice pack. Her surprise was immediate. You're still here. You sound disappointed. And no, just surprised. Good, I was aiming for surprisingly reliable. That laugh again. He was starting to like it too much. He walked her to her dorm after that, more slowly than before. Dusk had settled over campus, turning the windows gold and the paths silver blue. At the entrance, Sina shifted her weight to the uninjured foot and held her backpack close. I really am okay from here, she said. Thank you for all of it. Do you have class notes from today? Den asked. If not, I can send mine, especially if you skip seminar tomorrow. Her eyes widened. You do that. It's called building my reputation as surprisingly reliable. This time when she smiled, it stayed. She handed him her phone. Den typed in his number and sent himself a text so she would have his. A second later, his own phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at the screen. Sina. For some reason, seeing her name there felt more important than it should have. Text if the pain gets worse, he said, giving the phone back. Or if you need notes, or coffee delivered in the name of academic recovery. Sina looked down at the screen, then up at him, nervousness and something softer mingling in her expression. "Okay," she said quietly. "I will." Den watched until she made it through the dorm doors before turning away. Half an hour later, he was sitting at his desk with statistics open in front of him, and absolutely none of it making sense. He kept seeing the startled look in Sina's eyes, then the way it changed each time she realized he wasn't going to rush her. He hadn't expected a random accident on the library steps to follow him home. His phone lit up. "Made it upstairs. Thank you again, and sorry for being a disaster." Den smiled before he could stop himself and typed back at once. "You're not a disaster. Ice your ankle, that's an official prescription." Across campus, curled up on her bed with her wrapped foot propped on a pillow, Sina read the message 3 times. Her heart beat hard enough to make her feel foolish. Then she opened the chat, typed, deleted, typed again, and stared at the blinking cursor far longer than necessary. She had no idea what to say next. That had never stopped her thoughts from saying too much.